It's a Monday morning. Let's try and bring Friday afternoon energy to the pod.
Yeah, we didn't capitalize, right? We had good extended ozone possessions, we had good looks, just that's what happens. You let a team stick around, right?
Yes, it is Zach Hyman. The Oilers uncharacteristically let one slip away. Pretty rare for this group. Welcome to Got Yer Back, brought to you by DLR Vinyl Products. Nobody puts in wood, windows, or siding anymore, so why would you build a wood fence or deck? Do it once, do it right, with high-quality, maintenance-free vinyl. Call my brothers, Rick or Rob at DLR Vinyl, locations in Calgary and Edmonton. Today on the podcast, Strudwick and I will break down that Oilers blown lead in Columbus, courtesy Park Mazda. We actually got into a pretty good little battle over Zach Kassian. Pierre Lebrun pinch hits for James Duthie alongside Dregs. What a ceremony for Guy Lafleur last night in Montreal. What a collapse by the Vegas Golden Knights. And what's up with Robin Lehner? We will discuss for Belvan Construction. By the way, a bonus interview with John Liu, who was in the building for that ceremony last night. And Pierre Lebrun shares his Who's Got Your Back story. Presented by DLR Vinyl Products, this is Got Your Back. All right, time to check in with the fellas, Jason Strudwick and Basement Chris Sabunia out in Kelowna. How we doing, fellas? Struddy, it looked like an active weekend for you. So how are you, my friend?
I'm hungover, buddy. I'm hungover and tired. It was Alzheimer's Pro-Am. It's absolutely awesome event. It's to raise money for Alberta and Northwest Territories there and our Alzheimer's research and funding. It's amazing. A lot of the money goes to supporting families, and I'm the host on Friday night, and the host has got to get in the mix and have a few drinks, so I did just that. And then he tried to play some games, and then Saturday night, same thing. They tried to play some games Sunday, so old Uncle Struddy is pretty tired after a pretty awesome weekend. How about yourself?
See, Chris, this is probably going to fall on you to keep this together because I am a hurting Albertan today. I'm not going to lie. And so we should probably be fair and let people know we're actually taping this on a late Sunday night. So I'm still feeling because Struddy, to say you're hungover on a Monday morning, it's like, you had a day and a half to recover. This is Sunday night. We're taping this.
Yeah, and, I went up 2 nights in a row, and I know I'll still be hungover Monday morning. So I can confidently say I will be hungover Monday morning.
So my cul-de-sac, we do this house crawl where it was like 4 or 5 couples, and everybody makes an appy and a drink, and you start at one house, you just bounce from house to house to house, and you always, there's risk in being the last house. And we were the last house this year. So, I mean, it was great. We had a blast. But, and then I was dragging it around all day Sunday. And then we had a going away party for my son because my oldest son is moving to Kananaskis for the summer to work at the golf course out there. So he's leaving in a few days. So this is the first time I've had to wrap my head around one of my kids actually moving. So I was hungover, super emotional. Like, I am not doing well with any of this, like none of this. And Zuby, you know me, I get over emotional when I'm tired, and this is emotional for me.
Well, I can only even imagine. My kids are young, 4 and 2. So, I mean, I'm sure that'll happen in a flash, but I will most certainly be the same way. So I can appreciate, and yeah, the after effects of alcohol always contribute more to being emotional. So I get it. And good for you guys having a good enough hangover to last all the way through to the evening. You guys must have had good nights. I had a couple drinks last night, but nothing that, I have to hit the ground running at, 6:30 every morning anyway. So, which isn't, or I know some people have to get up really early. That's not really early, but the kids and soccer and picking up stuff at Canadian Tire.
Yeah,
doesn't wait.
You can't be doing it. Yeah,
no,
you can't.
Not yet. Someday.
Your kids are too young, man. You can't be doing it regularly.
I'll make my return someday.
Yeah. Well, Struddy, let's just try and push through, man. Let's persevere because there was an Oiler game, and we got to break it down. It was kind of a disappointing result for them on a day where they had some opportunity to lock up home ice advantage. Let's get to the breakdown. Zuby, we'll talk to you soon. Brought to you by Park Mazda, where the newly redesigned 2022 CX-5 has arrived. Check out the brand new all-wheel drive sport design trim with its turbocharged engine and see the available colors and trims in stock at parkmazda.ca. While Struddy, it's not like they didn't have their opportunities. They had lots of opportunities to put that game away, and the Oilers are usually money when they strike first, but they kept a tenacious team hanging around, and it cost them.
It's a dangerous way of playing, and I think we got to, they had a pretty big night on Friday night, much like you and I, pretty good times out, and they, I'm not suggesting the Oilers went out, but it was, it was a pretty big night for them emotionally. And then you come back in, you're playing a team like Columbus, and a team like Columbus, they're pretty good at coming back, but they've had some struggles, and the longer they hang around the game, the more dangerous they become. The Oilers had some chances to put them away. They could have, a couple chances. It could have been, goals that instead of being maybe 2-1, it's 3-1 after 2 or 4-1 after 2. Goes into the overtime or goes into the third period tied, and now anything happens. So I think that this is a night where you're looking for someone or some specialty team to have a night to get you over the top. And I didn't think their power play delivered. They had enough power plays. They got one. But I think this night you need 2 or 3 to kind of get you over the top. And it's unfair, but some nights, your goalie's got to do it. Some nights your stars have to do it. Sometimes your penalty kill has to do it. But I thought today, this game with Columbus was a night they needed their power play to deliver an extra goal or 2 to put this one away earlier.
Struds, you mentioned that the power play needed to come through with a couple, but conversely, the penalty kill can kill one too, and that's basically the same thing. They had the too many men on the ice penalty. This is becoming a recurring theme. And I wondered if it was, maybe it's part of the whole 11-7 thing, too many names and who's up, and they, but they weren't 11-7, and it happened again here. So I think it's maybe 3 in the last 4 games. I heard Louis say it's not a great trait. It's one of those things you don't want to have it continue because it kind of cost them tonight.
Weird one tonight. Really, it was just a really. I actually didn't think it was too many men, and they have been guilty, right? When I'm watching these guys play, it's a what I'd call a controlled line change, right? It's technically on the fly, but everyone just agrees, hey, we're all going to change and let's just get out there. And holy geez, what are you drinking? Is that a rain barrel? Oh my God. What is that? How am I supposed to focus under these circumstances? Oh my God. So I'm thirsty too, but I'm not drinking out of that.
My goal was to drink 2 of these today. Get myself back on track.
You could take a bath in that thing. But getting back to my point, I actually didn't think tonight was too many men. I thought that was a really stingy call, or what I call a strict call by the referees. But you're right. Too many men. I don't care if you go 11-7, 12-6, or 8 and whatever it'd be 10. You cannot take those penalties in the playoffs because it's hard enough it is to get calls, and now you got to kill enough penalties, but to kill an extra one that you've gifted the other team, you can't do it. So it doesn't matter. You got to know who's coming off and who you're taking off. So if I'm the center and you're the center, I know I have Ryan Rishaug. I don't go on except for anybody else. And I'm looking down ice to see if he's coming up. I'm also looking up where the puck is, but I got to wait for him to get close enough and to make sure he comes off. And then the guy's coming off. If you look like you're intending to come off, you got to come off. You can't turn off to get into a scrum with somebody else. So they're unacceptable penalties. You can see by Woody's reaction tonight, he was not happy, but it cannot happen. There's no, we can't say, well, it's somebody's fault. Maybe not. No, it's just the rule is it cannot happen, especially 3 in, let's call it a handful of games. Yeah, no, it's just a tough trait. And it becomes one of those things where it starts to happen and then it happens again and it's here we go again. And now it just it's one of those things that can stick for like a 4, 5, 6 game stretch. Sometimes you just got to get rid of it. They need to tighten up those details. Here's Jay Woodcroft on, I guess maybe some of the missed opportunities as we go to our average Joe's soundbox.
On a personal level, we can be sharper. We can be sharper to convert those. And I think that's, their goaltender played very well. That's the type of goaltender you're going to see down the stretch and in the playoffs. You have to find a way to be personally sharp so that you can maximize those opportunities because there won't be as many in the playoffs.
Have to find a way to be personally sharp. What's your definition of that, do you think?
Take advantage of your opportunities. I mean that's just it. Yamamoto had a really good chance. He could have bared it. I thought Kane probably could have had one more, although he's been carrying a bulk of the goal scoring the last couple of games. But it's I've played with really good scorers, and when they got a chance to score, it was scored. It went in the net. And there's some guys you play with it like, oh man, that guy should score a lot more goals, but there's a reason why he doesn't. He can't finish. But when you have a chance, especially in a game like versus Columbus, it was there to be had. I don't think that Columbus dominated. I don't think that Oilers really dominated either. It was kind of one of those 50-50 coin toss games. And the differences are small moments in the game. And, because Oilers had some good puck possession in the offensive zone. They had chances, but that small moment to take it on you to get it done. I said it earlier. Is it one guy going off? Is it the penalty power play going off? Maybe the penalty kill would have helped as well. Goalie steals it, but someone had to stand up and get it done. It wasn't like they were outplayed, but someone had to stand up and have a moment, and they didn't. And you lose the game in Columbus, and it's not the end of the world. I think we still know where they're all kind of finish, but it'd be nice to just wrap up or seal that second spot in the Pacific, sooner than later.
Yeah, their goaltender is the one that ended up having the moment. Back to the Average Joe soundbox, Zach Hyman.
Yeah, we didn't capitalize, right? We had good extended ozone possessions. We had good looks, just that's what happens. You let a team stick around, right? And give them life. So, good for them. We'll flush it. We'll go on to the next one and keep moving on.
Oilers are such a good team when they score first, and they rarely give up leads, but that wasn't the case. And it's going to happen. Like he said, we're going to flush it. We're going to move on. So, this team has been too consistent to let a loss like this trip them up. I expect them to refine their game. They've got a game against Pittsburgh Penguins on Tuesday night. So an opportunity for them to re-grab their footing and to snatch home ice advantage. What else did I want to talk to you about? I thought the 3-2, the one where Ceci pinched and Yamamoto was a little bit slow to react. I felt like there were a couple of errors that the Oilers haven't been making lately. They're really good on the backtrack, but you know what I'm talking about, where Ceci pinched up the wall and Yamamoto was there and he could see like there's a guy there and a guy there and I better get going. But he hesitated for like a second and a half, and then he's a second and a half behind on the back check. I just think they got away from some of those details that they've been doing a really good job of lately.
Well, I think what not to put words in your mouth, but I think what you're seeing is now a situation where if you don't do the job, if a player doesn't do the job on a certain situation, it stands out because hey, this is it. I think earlier in the year and in past years, it was a little bit more loose. Now everyone's kind of doing, for the most part, the right thing. And it's interesting bringing up Yamamoto because I don't think it was that goal that I was kind of the most caught off guard by. It was, I think, the first goal, Eric Robinson. If you remember this one, it was kind of a bouncing puck. It was all over the place. And Robinson kind of gets his stick on and scores. As I remember, Robinson was on the wall and he actually beat Yamamoto back to the front of the net and got inside position, which allowed him to get a stick on it. Okay. And I'm a big stickler on the idea of being on the inside in your own zone. You want to be on the inside of anyone trying to get to them. If you can just slow them down again. I know Yamamoto's not a big guy, not like Robinson is Dano Chara, but just by getting in his way, you impede his progress, and maybe that he doesn't get that rebound, or maybe that rebound's cleared, right? And that's just a small detail that it doesn't seem like it's a big deal until the puck's in the back of your net. And good teams in the playoffs, they're going to find a way to do that. And I go to use players like that. Let's go back last year to Vegas versus Colorado. I thought Samuel Girard, who's a really good young defenseman, he got exposed big time in that series versus Vegas in games 3 through was it 6 or 7? He was unable to compete and to get in the way of guys. And Vegas took advantage of that. And we saw a number of times where he was kind of pushed out of the way or wasn't in the right place, and they got the goal scored on him. So listen, I'm not blaming this game on Yamamoto, but these are the small details that Woodcross can look at and say, guys, doesn't matter if you're big or small, you got to find a way to slow that guy down and get in front of the net. So it's a harder goal scored for them if they get a chance to score. Yeah.
Want to get to Zach Kassian. Like Kassian's normally a guy I find for the most part he does his job pretty honorably and normally gives guys a chance to square up with him. I didn't like that play at all in that scrum. I think he He kind of popped the guy in the back of the head, spun him around, had his gloves off, and dummied him with a left hand before the guy even knew he was in a fight. That was an absolute gift that he wasn't given at least a double minor, if not more, in that situation. Am I being too hard on him? Like, to me, that was not a good look for a guy that generally plays the game tough and pretty honest for the most part.
Well, you could see the second he was hit, the wires crossed, and then he got hit again, and you could see Connor came over. Actually, surprised me that Connor reacted in that way. Not that, Connor can do, as the captain, he has that right to come over and do that. I didn't think it was really necessary, but Connor chose to do it. I like it. So he cross checks him, and then kind of all hell breaks loose, and Kassian's coming in slow, really slow, and you can just see the wires just like he's just going, and he goes in there and grabs him, and gives him a pretty good shot. I'm going to go on the other side of it, Schauger. I like it. I like that for that moment for Zack Kassian. Zach is a player that needs to be unpredictable, to be more effective. Now, unfortunately, along with unpredictable comes with sometimes penalties, and those penalties can be untimely and they can cost you, especially in the playoffs, precious moments or goals. But I think he needs to have that unpredictability to his game to just keep other teams, off balance. And if he doesn't go off, if there's the threat of it, I think that is as effective for him. So I can't believe he only got what he got, and the Oilers only got down for 2 minutes. It was crazy, but I like what he did there as far as that reaction, because now other teams are going to know, like, okay, Zack Kassian, he's on tilt, and there's only a few games or a handful of games till the playoffs start.
Well, okay, Struddy, but his wires touched, and he stopped caring about what the score was in the game and what was going on around him. That could have easily been a double minor, if not if a ref had seen that clean. He goes up and he two-hands the guy, not with his stick, but he hit the guy kind of in the back of the head from behind, grabbed him, spun him around. The guy turned around and sort of realized he was there. Zach's glove was off, and he dropped him with a left hand. Like, that is a really aggressive play. So I understand what you're saying. You like guys to play with aggressiveness, and you like guys to do some message sending and stuff, but that could easily have been a 5-minute major. To me, it was really aggressive. So, I think it's aggressive,
but he didn't hurt him. It wasn't like he was going to hurt him. Like, I didn't think it was
I don't know,
hard.
Struds. If I watched it back 2 or 3 times. He buckled him with the punch.
I don't think so. The guy popped up. I didn't think it was that. I don't think it was that hard of a hit. But you need, like, when's the last time we saw Zack Kassian react in that way?
Yeah.
Or how often have we seen him do it this year?
Yeah. And I guess I don't know. I generally feel like I'm kind of old school when it comes to this stuff, but I think there's a part of me that's come around a little bit in that, I just think if you want to square up and fight somebody, you square up and fight somebody. If there's something significant someone does and you drop your gloves and go at him, he's going to know. That's a melee where there's all sorts of guys and refs everywhere, and there's lots going on in there, but no one's really fighting. And he went and peeled a guy out of the herd and dropped him. And I just feel like that's a little bit too far outside the bounds of the way, the honor that comes with playing tough hockey. He dummied a guy that I don't think saw it coming, and I don't necessarily love that look. I'm not trying to be too hard on Kassian, and I like Zack Kassian's game when he plays intense. I just felt that was a little bit offside and a little bit cheap. But I think the punch landed harder than you do. Maybe we disagree on the effect that it had. I saw the guy go down and stay down for a minute, and it took him a second to get back up, and then he was yelling at him after the fact. So I think that sends a message to teams: this guy's wires will touch, and you can get him to go off the rails. So all you got to do is hit him hard and embarrass him a little bit, and he won't care about what's going on around him.
So I'll say this: that Zack Kassian is a very polarizing figure in the Oilers fandom world. So people say that, well, he's not involved in the game, he's not doing anything, he's not scoring, and then when he does do what he's known to do, now we're going to criticize him.
No, buddy, you can't do that.
I'm going to do it.
Okay, well,
that's the truth.
Then let's do that then. So, It's not that I'm criticizing him because he got into a scrum. It's not that I'm criticizing him. I mean, you can like that intention from him and say that's good that he went and got engaged, and it's good that he, but you can still judge a guy for the specifics of his actions. I can say I like the fact that Kassian was engaged physically and in that melee. I don't like what he did to that guy at all. It can be both. And you can expect a guy to play tough and play hard, but not do that. I think that's a fair expectation.
Yeah, but when you go into a scrum, you can't, it's not pre-planned. This isn't WWF or WWE where it's pre-planned and this is how it's going to happen. This is what's going to go on. I mean, every scrum is unique, although there's very few scrums now. So, I mean, having a scrum is unique, but when you do have one and you're trying to sort it out, you never know what's going to happen. So if the Oilers fandom wants Zack Kassian to play with passion, he's going to go into the scrums and there's going to be sometimes things you don't like. That's just the way it's going to be. You cannot have it both ways. It's not, you're not in there exchanging Christmas gifts. You need to have that moment. So I like it when Zach plays with unpredictability. Now, unpredictability, it just that you don't know what's going to happen. And we, a few years ago, we saw him take some pretty questionable penalties, but that's when he's engaged, right? Yeah. And if he's not engaged, he's not killing penalties on the power play. He's not, he's reliability defensively is sometimes questionable. So what are you doing out there, right? And I think that's part of the Zack Kassian package, and you have to accept it.
Yeah, no, very, very fair point. I like an engaged Zack Kassian too. He's really effective. Skate fast, hit hard, stand up for your teammates, be menacing, intimidate people, get in people's faces, all those things. And I'm not like, we're sitting here arguing about this, so I'm probably arguing my point stronger than it needs to be. It's not the end of the world. I just didn't like that one action from him. And I think that Zack Kassian, his wires touching and a 5-minute major at any point, like I think that the game was still very close at that point. And that was an aggressive play that could have easily been a significantly larger penalty than it was.
100%. But engage Zack Kassian, that comes with the package.
Yep.
And then
but it can't in the playoffs, though, Struds. It can't.
But
you can't make that play in the playoffs. You can't.
I hear you, but there's going to be moments where that's going to happen.
Yeah. This needs to be a lesson. This needs to be, he got away with one. And if you're the staff, you're like, listen, love the intensity level. Right. But you got to dial her back, man. You can't peel someone out of the scrum and do that in game 2 of the playoffs in a tie game or whatever the score was at the time.
But there was a time when Zack Kassian was told, I think he was told that. And then he wasn't engaged at all. And then when he was not engaged. You think he wasn't engaged
because he was told not to?
I think that there was a time, I want to say maybe before tip, maybe during tip, that I think he was afraid of taking penalties. And when you play afraid to take penalties, you are not engaging anybody on any level because you don't want to get in trouble. And I know that game. I've been through that. It's not fun. You're walking on eggshells all over the place. So you're stripping part of what makes a guy aggressive. And hey, you can't take penalties, but we still want you to go and hit. Okay, well, in that case, I'm just going to rub guys out. I don't want to take penalties. So I listen, I'm not saying it won't hurt you at some point. But that is the reality. You can't have it all. You can't have it both ways.
Anyway, we're probably spending way too much time on this. Are we going to agree to disagree again?
Oh, 100%. 100% we are.
I have a feeling everyone's going to agree with you, and that's okay.
It's like a chef being asked to prepare, medium well steaks. Every now and then, he's going to get one well done. That's just the way it is. It's a fine line. And I cook my steaks medium well. And sometimes I go a little too far. My wife snaps.
Who eats medium well steak?
Guys,
you might as well just fry up lunch meat at that point. Medium well?
Cook my wallet on there. Yeah, I like it medium well. Medium well. But I do sometimes fly too close to the sun, Shogger, and I get burned. And when it does, my wife comes down on me, and I'm the Zack Kassian of steak cooking. A little too close to the sun.
Well, remind me to invite you to my place for a barbecue rather than me going to your place, so I can give you all a nice medium rare steak, nice and juicy like it's supposed to be, buddy, off the old Traeger. Okay, well, we managed to get through this. Okay, I dozed off at least once during that segment. Did you notice?
Yeah, I was feeling pretty zippy. I had it going on tonight.
Yeah, you carried this segment for both of us. Thanks, Stretty. That was the breakdown brought to you by Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park, off Y Road. Visit parkmazda.ca. I have to ask you, are you clicking on your computer right now? You clicking buttons? You know what's happening is every time you click a button on your computer,
the color changes.
It shakes your computer, your camera. You look like you're on a plane in turbulence because you're shaking your camera around.
Well, heavy hand. So I'm actually, when I was looking, I always go to the NHL.com just to double check what's going on in between. So that's when I'm shaking it. It's not like I'm checking my Facebook, because I get a lot of messages on there. I'm a
you're a popular guy on Facebook. Well, we need to set your camera separate from your laptop, because you've been every time you've been bobbing all over the place through the hole. So that's another mental note. Add it to the budget here on Got Your Back, a camera tripod for Struddy. Thanks, buddy. We'll check in with you in a couple of days. Good debate today. I appreciate it.
We'll talk to you later. Good night, Zach Kassian.
Hey, Struddy, question for you. Have you ever tried putting in your own fence?
I sure have. Between digging the posts, mixing up cement and digging the holes, it's absolute killer.
It's brutal on the back. Well, listen, what if I told you could put in a fence without having to dig a hole or mix any concrete?
I'd be much more likely to come over and help you out.
Yeah, well, you're not the first guy I would call, but thank you for that. Listen, my brother's company, DLR Vinyl Products, they've come up with a system where you can actually put high-quality vinyl fence in the ground without having to dig a hole, without having to mix any concrete. They can teach do-it-yourselfers how to do it, and they can also work with contractors who might be looking to start installing vinyl. It's super high-quality product. The great thing about it is that it has fantastic longevity. You put it in, you don't have to worry about staining or sanding or anything like that. I've been lucky enough, Struddy. They've put in multiple fences in my different yards, and they've built me 3 decks. I have totally abused the fact that my family is in the fencing and decking business, but it's great product. Give Rob a call in Calgary or Rick a call here in Edmonton. This is a company my dad started. It's a family business. I'm super proud of it, and I'm very proud that they are our title sponsors. That's DLR Vinyl Products in Edmonton and Calgary. Hey, it's Ryan Rishaug. While many are feeling the sting of inventory shortages, Park Mazda has you covered. They've got new Mazdas arriving every month, including the redesigned 22CX5 in whatever color you're looking for. They've also got a huge selection of used vehicles with new arrivals every week and some of the most competitive interest rates on cars, trucks, SUVs, and more. Park Mazda, your dealer for life in Sherwood Park, off Y Road. Schedule a test drive at parkmazda.ca. All right, before we get to our Duthie and Dreger segment, wanted to take a couple of minutes and check in with my good friend and our longtime Montreal bureau chief, John Liu, who was in the building last night for what, John, I imagine was an extremely emotional ceremony. Take us through kind of some of the emotions you went through and what you sensed from the building.
Yeah, Ryan. Well, I have to say that this is like one of the most stirring events that I've witnessed in my career, 22 years in running. Certainly one of the biggest moments ever that I've witnessed at the Bell Center. Something we knew that there would be a huge outpouring of emotion just because of how beloved Guy Lafleur was in this market. But to actually experience something that was on the level of the 16-minute standing ovation that the crowd gave Rocket Richard at the closing of the old Montreal Forum, and Saku Koivu a 9-minute ovation when he returned from his cancer. This was right up there in stature and befitting too, simply because of what Guy Lafleur represented and the type of person that he was, the player that he was. But the Canadians, they did it upright, as they always do when it comes to ceremony and moments like this. From the touches on the ice, the number 10 behind the nets, the iconery on the boards. There were no advertisements on the boards last night. It was all stuff having to do with Guy Lafleur. And the ribbon board, same thing, that reflected what was on the boards on the ice. But the crowd, as always, the Bell Center crowd, they really rise to the occasion in moments like that. And the moment or the ovation that they gave Guy was, according to the club, officially 10 minutes, 10 seconds. Couldn't be more appropriate.
That's a great touch. That's a great touch, eh?
They might have fudged.
Doesn't matter. Nobody cares, right? Why not?
It was definitely 10 minutes because the crowd started to roar as the video montage of Frank Sinatra's My Way was playing, a very emotional, poignant video montage of Lafleur's career. And the crowd just started to crescendo as the song was ending. And then they just kept going.
Yeah. Amazing.
Cheering, singing the Olé song, chanting Guy's name. And on 3 occasions, the PA announcer, Michel Lacroix, who's an absolutely renowned and revered figure in the city, he tried to stop and, basically
they wouldn't let him.
That he tried to move on to a moment of silence. And they kept, either they drowned him out by cheering even louder, or they booed, and then they kept cheering. It was really an incredibly special moments, and one that I'll never forget.
I love the fact, John, I think he tweeted after the fact and he sort of said to the fans, like, hey, no worries about interrupting me. He loved it too. And the Montreal Canadiens really do have a way of handling these situations with a dignity and a grace and a class that is really a cut above the rest. They truly do nail this stuff when it comes to tradition and capturing the moment, I would say.
Oh, yeah. And the players, too. You know what? The players had a couple of organic moments yesterday that they came up with. The team didn't suggest it to them, nor did management. The players amongst themselves decided that they would go bucketless during pregame warm-up, let the flow go.
Yeah, why not?
And then after the game, they normally they salute the crowd, but they gathered in one corner of the ice, raised their sticks, and looked to the rafters to the Lafleur banner, which had a spotlight on it all night, and saluted him. So, I mean,
amazing.
Even though a lot of these guys weren't alive when Lafleur, most of them weren't alive when Lafleur was in his heyday, they still understood what he meant to the organization, and they understand what the crest on their sweaters means. So, kudos to the players too. Everybody really, they sensed the moment and responded accordingly.
Well, I saw your hit last night, John. You did a nice job capturing the moment, as you always do. Thank you for joining us here this morning. I know it was a late night for you, and there's nothing that sort of cleanses your palate better than a run, and I know I'm keeping you from that right now. So throw on the joggers, buddy, and get out there. Thanks for checking in with us. Will you come back sometime and share a Got Your Back story with us?
Oh, of course.
Awesome.
Absolutely. Anytime, Ryan.
Look forward to it, my friend. We'll talk soon.
You bet.
All right, time now for Duffy and Dregs R2D2, brought to you by Belvan Construction, specializing in the design, planning, and construction of restaurants, office spaces, professional clinics, and retail spaces. Visit belvanconstruction.com as we magically turn James Duffy and his dog into our stand-in today, Pierre Lebrun. How you doing, Pierre?
Do you not remember this Hartford Whalers jacket that I'm wearing right now, Rishaug?
Why would I remember that?
2012 lockout. We were freezing on the sidewalk, and I went to the NHL store to buy this just for an extra layer under our suit.
Oh,
I thought it was purchased in 1991, and it still fits.
Well, I can guarantee you one thing: anything I purchased in 1991 does not still fit me. That's
what I recall about that. We were all working it together, and remember, we were sitting in that satellite truck in the middle of the night, waiting for news to break. It was just an all-nighter. Pierre, I remember. I have a picture somewhere. You fell asleep standing up in the truck. Yep. We were all sitting there looking at the monitors, and I looked back at you, and you were like this. And you're just wobbling back and forth. And so we took long pieces of tape, and we covered your back in pieces of tape while you were sleeping.
That's an old Jedi trick. Getting a little sleep standing up so you can get through the night. But, of course, that wasn't the most famous picture taken during that lockout.
No, it was not.
I think I'm the guy who produced Dreger Face. So I'm still
was that you?
That was me.
Oh boy, Zuby, grab that in post production and drop it in. Just remind people of what we're talking about. Where did that actually take place? And Pierre, did you have any guilt afterwards?
I did.
How far and wide it went?
I totally did. And Dreg knows the story. We were just hurry up and wait was the story of that lockout, right? So it was so cold outside that night in New York that the league finally allowed us in their building. And we went up to this, I don't know, like a little conference room where all the media got shepherded in. And everyone's been going for 16 hours. And I just wanted to tweet a photo of all the media finally getting into somewhere warm, having no idea that the first face looking at my camera right in front of me was a very tired Darren Dreger, and thus Dreger face. It was not on purpose.
How did you feel about all that, Dregs? How did you? Were you a little annoyed?
I mean, no, I wasn't at all. I didn't care. I mean, Twitter had been established at that point, but in the larger scheme, it was still somewhat in its infancy. And what I mean by that is some of the major talk shows in North America, probably weren't leaning as heavily on social media. But the Howard Stern show actually reached out to me to see if I would come on and talk about it.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Did you do it?
No, it was like a fledgling associate producer. And I'm like, well, yeah, I'll do it. I what do we talk about when we get past the point of explaining what actually happened?
Which is kind of boring.
Yeah, I mean, the story got pretty quick.
Someone took a funny picture of me once. You want to talk about the Leafs now?
Howard, anything else you got?
I know what the Leafs are up to.
Okay.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, listen, guys, we just had a chat with John Liu, who was in the building in Montreal last night for that stirring ceremony that they put on for Guy Lafleur. I love in their release, they said that the ovation went on, Pierre, for 10 minutes and 10 seconds. Little touches that they put on it throughout. The Montreal Canadiens really know how to do moments justice, and it feels like they really did the Lafleur family and Guy Lafleur justice.
Yeah, no one does it better. And last night was another example. The boards with just, Guy Lafleur on the boards as well. The ovation was really straight from the heart, and from a lot of fans, younger fans who really didn't get to watch him play, right? They just understand the history of their team and where Guy Lafleur stands, taking the torch from Jean Beliveau and arguably probably the last great moment for a long time like that, because of course, ever since that 70s dynasty, the Canadiens have become human and the glory years are over. So that's all sort of intertwined, I think, in the magic of last night and the pure emotion and the ovation. It's tremendous.
Yeah, I mean, it was super. And what struck me in watching it and then rewatching it a couple of times, I mean, the video has been posted out there. And for anyone who, doesn't have the package or didn't see it, you should 100% watch it, because you really do get a taste of why the Montreal Canadiens are absolutely in a category by themselves when it comes to ceremony and celebration of life. And there was a number of things that struck me. I mean, we're not supposed to feel the emotion of a moment, but you do when you're there, because you physically feel it. But watching Yvon Cormier, on the sidelines, staring up at the spotlight on number 10 in the rafters, there were just so many stirring, is the word you used, moments. But Pierre, to follow up on what you said, and I was asked about this on Montreal radio this morning. I mean, you think about the iconic figures, and there are a number of them, but we're talking about Jean Beliveau, we're talking about Rocket Richard, and now obviously we're talking about Guy Lafleur. Beyond that, there have been some great players to wear the colors of the Montreal Canadiens, Yvon Cormier being among the many, but this is a different level. It was something else.
Yeah. And, I mentioned this Friday, Gino, right on That's Hockey, but a moment that a lot of people maybe forget, especially if, you don't follow the Canadiens, but when Guy Lafleur, I'm just trying to tap into the emotion that we heard last night. When Guy Lafleur came back as a New York Ranger 4 years after retiring with the Montreal Canadiens in February of '89, the standing O that he got that night for scoring twice on Patrick Roy is unparalleled in Canadiens history for a visiting player getting that reaction. Sure. And, and that's what that fan base thinks of Guy Lafleur. He wasn't a New York Ranger that night. He was Guy Lafleur.
And a nice touch by Brendan Gallagher and the Montreal players before they left the ice to go and salute the banner up in the rafters. Nice job overall by the team, the organization, the players, and the fans in the building. Guys, we have to talk about Vegas here. My goodness, they just can't get out of their own way. It's issue after issue and drop ball after drop ball. And if people didn't see it, desperately fighting for their playoff lives, up a couple of goals, and they spit the bit late against San Jose and then lost in a shootout What a devastating turn of events, Dregs, for that team last night.
I mean, man, have that 4-2 lead in the third period. Benino scores, closes the gap, and then Timo Meier with 1 second remaining. I would have liked to have seen the isolation shot of the management box of the Vegas Golden Knights at that 1 second mark, because that's just, and I'm not making light of that. I mean, this group collectively as an organization has been through so much this year, and they've been the most aggressive team by far in the National Hockey League in trying to accomplish the dream of hoisting that Stanley Cup. But look, our friend and colleague here, Pierre Lebrun, will on occasion get on his soapbox, and he will talk about things that
looks like he's standing on one right now, looking down at us from his soapbox.
Be it the point system in the National Hockey League, the playoff structure, all of that. And it's all good stuff, don't get me wrong. So allow me 10 seconds here to get on mine.
It'll be 50.
Shootout last night is why I hate the shootout. Mm-hmm. I hate it. It's ridiculous for that kid to be hung out to dry in the fashion that he was.
Oh, Logan Thompson.
Borderlow scores. I mean, this kid's got 5 games, so you have rookie kind of versus young goalie. I get that, but that poor kid dropped to his knees, just in pure acknowledgement of the devastation and catastrophic finish to what could be the end of their year. And skills competition should not be the way that you determine a playoff spot.
Well, I think losing at home to New Jersey last week was probably even a bigger blow. But yeah, I'm with you in the shootout. I mean, I would love to extend overtime 3-on-3 if the PA would feel comfortable with it. There's always a concern of wear and tear on the skilled players who play all the 3-on-3 overtime, which is why that discussion has never really gotten legs. But I don't like the shootout having an impact on the standings either, which is why there is a loser point. I know a lot of people hate the loser point. Including, the standings literally make no sense in the NHL, right? Yeah, it's not a win-loss league. This is why I harp on why there's a difference between a winless streak and a losing streak. And people think I'm out of my mind. It's because I'm underlying how bizarre the league compiles its standings. I mean, you could lose 82 games in a shootout and have 82 points. There's a difference between loser points and losing in regulation. So the whole thing drives me insane. But Dregs remembers this. In 04-05, when the shootout was instituted, the GMs only voted in favor of the shootout as long as there was a loser point. Otherwise, the shootout never comes into play.
What about only doing it for the first half of the year and then changing it to overtime for the second half, so we don't end up late season with these shootouts, determining playoff positioning?
I don't think you can dabble with it. I mean, you can't, right? Because those points are going to matter. Commissioner Bettman still believes that there's a high level of entertainment that's attached to it. Yeah, I guess. Right. In fairness, we saw Kuznetsov do something pretty cool against the Maple Leafs in that shootout. So,
well, that's why I think moments, but you don't want it deciding fates. Create moments.
I think if Pete DeBoer was on with us right now, Ryan, he'd say, "How about we just protect the lead with a second left in regulation and not worry about the shootout?" But
great segue, Pierre, as we go to our average Joe soundbox. Here's Pete DeBoer after that devastation last night, and you know what's on his mind.
We got no time to sit and worry about it. You hope that it doesn't cost us a playoff spot. If it does, that's a tough one to sleep on all summer. But
yeah, I mean, that would be a tough one to sleep on all summer. Look, Pete DeBoer's an honest coach, real upfront about things as much as he can be. But there's something going on with this organization right now, guys. I'm not sure how upfront anybody is going to be able to be. What do we know about Robin Lehner, this situation? Was there, where there was smoke, was there fire, Pierre? It was reported, I believe, by The Athletic and ESPN that there was going to be a season-ending surgery, and then that changed, and he wasn't showing up at practices. Now the team's sending out releases about how he's taking maintenance days. Something is amok. What is it? Do we know?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I did trade text with a team source that day because I wanted to find out, obviously, at least for my purposes, what was going on. And what they told me was that he wasn't having season-ending surgery, but he's clearly playing hurt. I mean, come on, he hasn't been right for a while. So my guess is he will need surgery at some point, but I guess it's not in the moment is all I can say. But he's not been right for a while. No. He's a better goalie than what he's shown.
Well, and look, just to add on to that, the information that was sent my way on Friday, and I think that falls in line with the timing of the reporting, right? And we go out of our way not to refute other people's work. I'm not trying to do that here.
Right.
Just, someone reached out to me to say he is not having season-ending surgery, and nor do we as an organization feel like we have to continue to correct these people's work. So, I mean, the organization obviously at issue with the reporting, but one thing that's been made fairly clear, I would think, the Vegas Golden Knights are over the salary cap for next season already. Now that can be remedied, and Kelly McCrimmon has become masterful at this kind of stuff. But you do have to throw the position of goaltender into what are they going to do into that conversation of like all the areas of concern. The future of Robin Leonard is probably in that list now.
Although it seems like they found something in Logan Thompson, though, which is sort of the silver lining in Robin Leonard trying to play through this whatever is ailing him. The other thing that we should point out, by the way, and the Buffalo Sabres fans probably were screaming from the rooftop, wanting us to remind this, but the first round pick they got in the Jack Eichel deal. Yeah. And at the time, had I even brought this up, and when the trade happened in November, you guys would have said, why are you even bringing this up? But it's top 10 lottery protected. So if Vegas does miss and somehow they jump up in the lottery, if it's top 10, Vegas actually keeps their first rounder, but then the Sabres get a unprotected 23 first round pick. Now, I don't want to speak for the Sabres, but I think deep down the Sabres actually probably hope that the Vegas pick comes in around 11 or 12 this year so that Buffalo keeps the pick.
Yeah, next year's draft is good.
Next year's draft is good, but at the same time, I would think Buffalo would look at the Vegas roster and say they're going to bounce back. They're not going to be in this position again next year. So then the pick next year is lower for Buffalo. So I think the sweet spot for Buffalo is that Vegas is around 11 or 12 if they miss the playoffs.
Well, the Vegas Golden Knights missing the point a little bit last night, but their Twitter feed has always remained on point. I give them credit, guys, because they kind of own it either way. Did you see their tweet right after the game? One word, pain. And you look at the mentions on that tweet, people are teeing off on the Vegas Golden Knights, but hey, they're owning it. They're not completely dead yet, but it's heading quickly in that direction. They have to defeat the Dallas Stars in their next game. Pierre, thanks for standing in for James, buddy. I appreciate it. We were able to keep this segment much more on the rails with some adults in the room.
Well, a much inferior golfer to James Duffy standing in, but I'm happy to, as Dreger can tell you, have him play golf with me, but no problem.
That was Duffy and Dreger, brought to you by Belvan Construction. I've got a bit of a conundrum here, guys. Pierre, you don't know this, but my brothers are the title sponsors of this podcast, DLR Vinyl Products. They think that because they're the title sponsors, they can basically tell me what I say on my own podcast. So, Dregs, they've written me a throw to break here that invokes the word that shall not be spoken.
Oh, I like it.
So
you have to.
I don't think I have to. I don't think I need to say it. I don't think that game, like there's business and there's pleasure. It's the push-up.
I know.
Word. So
the game I don't take part in. Yes.
So I don't know, Dregs. Like they're my title sponsors. This is a business relationship, and they're saying we can make you do this, and I'm saying I don't think you can. So we need a second opinion from someone else in the game, and unfortunately, you're the only one here that can do it. So.
Well, how does it relate to a tagline or a specific throw? Like they can't tell you what word to use unless it's absolutely part of their logoing or something.
It's a tagline attached to their name that they say, as your title sponsor, this is how we want you throwing to break.
Perfect. Then I side with DLR. They're smart men.
Okay, well, again, Duffy and Dregs, brought to you by Belvan Construction. You are listening to Got Your Back, presented by DLR Vinyl Products, a company that is owned by two brothers of mine.
So every time this is retweeted, you've got to do another 20. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
You still got it.
7, 8, 9, 10. Well, I think you added one there. Good for you. It's outstanding. That's a new creative department right there.
That is way harder than it should be.
At least that wasn't in the middle of a steakhouse dinner.
Oh, the places we've all done push-ups, hey?
Yes.
Damn this game. All right, thanks, fellas. We'll talk to you soon. Pierre, you're going to stick around and give us a Got Your Back story after the break. Those donkeys.
That's outstanding.
Yeah. Okay, thanks,
boys.
Dregs. Thanks,
Yeah,
Pierre.
see you
Appreciate
guys.
it, buddy.
Okay, see ya. See you guys.
If you're a business owner looking for a general contractor to build or renovate your business, no matter how big or small, Bell Van Construction should be your first call. Specializing in the design, planning, and construction of restaurants, office spaces, professional clinics, and retail spaces, Bell Van can assist you from start to finish. Learn more by going to bellvanconstruction.com.
Folks, golf season is just around the corner, and I don't know about you, but I am some kind of fired up over it. It's the perfect time to get yourself fitted for new clubs or some great new apparel. Well, De Boers has you covered for all of it. Their facility is first class with amazing TrackMan technology in their simulators and top-of-the-field fitting specialists. You can order now for spring delivery, and they've also got a bunch of new 22 apparel for you to go check out. It's a fantastic group down there at De Boers. The shop has a great positive feel. I highly recommend you check them out on the corner of 53rd Street and 99th Avenue. De Boers, helping you play better golf since 1999. Average Joe's Sports Bar in Sherwood Park has proudly served the community and supported minor sports in the area for almost 20 years. It's a great gathering place for sports fans. Average Joe's has massive big screen TVs, comfortable seating, and a friendly staff waiting to make your experience anything but average. Come check it out on Baseline Road, right next to Home Depot, or make a reservation by calling 780-417-1113. That's Average Joe's on Baseline Road in Sherwood Park. All right, time now for Who's Got Your Back, brought to you by De Boers Golf Shop and Fitting Center, helping you play better golf, your local golf shop, for the last 23 years as we rejoin Pierre Lebrun. Pierre, have you been able to get out on a course yet this year? Like, are you the guy that'll go out in late April, or do you wait for the nice weather?
Yeah, I wait for the nice weather. I mean, I still got 3 kids playing hockey, Ryan, and haven't really had a half day to look at that way. Plus, my clubs are up at the cottage anyway, so I'd have to go up and get them. So, and I pretty much wait till free agency. After the first day of free agency, start my summer holiday, and that's when I get the clubs out and I attack my local golf course and embarrass myself, and I love every minute of it.
Yeah, well, I'm basically stopping in at De Boers weekly right now because this is the year, Pierre. I want to try and set a personal best this year. I've actually got a membership this year over at De Boers. They've been. I mean, you get new shoes. They're sorting out my 3-wood. They're helping me round out my game. So we'll see. But the weather's turning. Supposed to be like 18 degrees. That's a big deal out here in Edmonton. So hoping to get out onto the course. Okay, listen, we like to ask our guests about a time in their life where somebody came through for them, where someone had their back. That's the name of the podcast, Pierre. So when I put that idea to you, what story comes to mind, my friend?
Yeah, it was a number of years ago. I was I was in a deep funk, just sort of that dark cloud hanging over you in a real fog, and really was kind of keeping it to myself and trying to put on a brave face. I had my kids were young then, but I needed help, and my friends Steve and Sandra, really good friends, came through. Just having a number of chats with them and sort of getting stuff off my chest. It was tremendous, and they probably don't even know it because they just thought we were just doing our normal. But that got me through a pretty rough patch, and I appreciate them for it.
Yeah. Was this before, if I can ask, was this pre-COVID even, Pierre?
Yeah. It was pre-COVID, yeah.
Yeah, and I think, having gone through what we've all been through with COVID. I think a lot of people, whether they experienced any of that before, maybe have come across it over the last couple of years. It's the kind of thing that can sneak up on you pretty quick. Hey, and before you really even know it, you're in this spot where you just don't feel like yourself. And that's where the people in your life who know you best probably sense it and see it and then offer that helping hand. I've had that happen to me too.
Right. And I think the biggest lesson is not to hold it in, right? Is to speak to people you trust and have that conversation and not try to be tough and because that's just unhealthy. And so that was a tough period, and they were unbelievable to me. So I appreciate them.
Thank you so much for sharing that story with us, Pierre. That is meaningful, and I'm sure a lot of people out there can identify with it. So playoffs are coming up. You're always one of the busiest men in the business for the playoffs, Pierre. Where are we going to see you? Am I allowed to ask you that? Can you tell us? You got secret plans?
Well, I'm going to start off in Edmonton.
Nice.
Where I'm going to start off next week. Yeah. And
nice.
Then,
beer's on the podcast, buddy. Beer's on Got Your Back.
So that's where I'm going to start. I'm not, in the old days at ESPN, and even my first number of years at The Athletic, I would pick a series and stay with it. In 2018, I stayed with the Jets for 3 rounds until they lost to Vegas in the Cup final. I'm not doing that. I'm not picking a team this year. Back in my ESPN days, Ryan, I picked the Sharks some years or LA, because those teams were always going deep. Chicago some years. Yeah, I'm just going to bounce around, I think, and try and sniff out some good stories. We have so many awesome beat writers in every market for The Athletic that I don't need to cover a whole series, but I'm just going to bounce around. And I think certainly TSNY starting Edmonton is a fun thing. I think you and I will do a few hits together, buddy.
Oh yeah, I look forward to it, man. And maybe if we get a couple of hours, I'll squeeze you into the simulator over at De Boers, and we'll get an early start on that messy swing of yours.
It's I forget who said it recently, who played with me last summer. It said, man, he can hit a golf ball far, but it's just that my second shot's never in the fairways. That's the reality with me.
On a good day, what is Monsieur Lebrun shooting out there?
I'm usually low 90s, sometimes break 90. That's about it. I can't get it to low 80s like a lot of our colleagues. I'm too much of a hacker.
You're too busy. You're too busy having a career, being a dad and a professional, right?
I got to be honest. I got to be honest about my golf struggles. Otherwise, I couldn't live with myself.
Well, listen, 30 minutes with Scott McNabb in the simulator at De Boers, and we'll have you in that 85 range before you know it. Pierre, I really appreciate your time today, my friend. I look forward to seeing you next week. We will find a steakhouse, and Got Your Back will buy some of it, maybe not the wine. I'll buy the food. I'm not sure if we can afford your wine.
I scare a lot of people with my reputation on that one. Yeah. I just look forward to seeing it, buddy.
Okay, take care. Thanks for doing this, my friend. That is Pierre Lebrun, TSN insider, and of course, a lead hockey writer at The Athletic. That'll wrap today's podcast, folks. Want to remind you, though, that story that Pierre just told us, we want to hear your stories, too. So send us an email, tell us your story, and we'll read it on the podcast at some point, gybpod@gmail.com. That's gybpod@gmail.com to our Average Joe's inbox. That wraps episode 15. Big thanks to Pierre, to Dregs, Jason Strudwick, Basement Chris as well, and of course to all our sponsors, DLR Vinyl Products, my brothers, Park Mazda, Belvan Construction, De Boers Golf Shop, and of course Average Joe's Sports Bar in Sherwood Park. Planning on dropping another podcast on Wednesday morning, the morning after the Oilers take on Sidney Crosby and the Pittsburgh Penguins. Have a fantastic day, everybody. Thanks for giving us all of your support, your downloads. I've seen lots of your interactions on Twitter. Hey, leave us a review on iTunes. We would love that. We appreciate your support here on Got Your Back.